Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Toybiz Marvel Legends Series 6, Deadpool. A sought-out figure. Obviously, collectors to this day are still trying to pick up this guy right here. Spot's gotten a lot of requests to review Deadpool, and for one reason or another, I just never got around to reviewing him. He's been in my collection along with some of the other Toybiz figures that I've been looking at over the last little bit, and decided to finally do a true review and get this guy finally opened up. Now, a lot of people might say, no, Spot, don't open it! But we will get this opened up and have a look at Deadpool. He is superposable, 40 points of articulation, also includes Dupe, the little slimy blob, little slimer guy that comes with him. It also includes a 32-page comic book and wall-mountable display stand. I don't see actually the wall-mountable display stand. I guess it's just this clear stand right here. You'll also see that Wade also comes with a alternate head too. On the back of the package, other figures that you can collect from this wave, there's Juggernaut, there's the Thomas Jane Punisher, Cable, Wolverine, and Deadpool. The write-up says, shrouded in stolen identities and clandestine secrets, the Merc with a Mouth is a man of mystery, hero, villain, sociopath. You can try to define him, but you can't kill Deadpool. Artificially engineered Deadpool's superhuman healing factor allows him to survive seemingly fatal wounds and regenerate missing appendages. A master marksman and swordsman, Deadpool wields various blades and guns. He also relies on a teleportation device to deliver him from danger. Phenomenal. By the way, his height is 6'2", he's 210 pounds, eyes are unrevealed, hair unrevealed, despite the fact that his alternate face is there. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, we're finally going to have a look at the Toybiz Marvel Legends Series 6, Deadpool. There's more anyway, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. The first thing that we'll have a look at that comes included with Deadpool is a Deadpool comic. There's Deadpool, there's Hulk. Hulk doesn't look very happy. Deadpool actually looks like he's enjoying himself. It says it's not for resale either, and I honestly don't even know what issue this is from. It just says Deadpool, so it's probably from his ongoing series. But you get that, which is obviously always a welcome treat to come included with a comic book. Gives you something to read before you start playing around with the figure itself. As I had already mentioned, the other accessory, or the other thing that comes with Deadpool is Dupe. Dupe. Now, if you're not quite familiar with Dupe, Dupe first appeared in X-Force Volume 1, number 116, which I think was back in the early 2000s. It's interesting that he's also been in Ecstatics, and he's been also in the X-Men. I think he's made a couple of appearances in X-Men as well, but it's an interesting enough character, and I guess if anything, I mean, him and Deadpool share an X-Force. They were both in the X-Force comics together, so I guess it makes sense that he comes included with it. But it's not necessarily a figure that probably most people are going to remember. And to me, I look at him, he kind of just looks like a little Slimer guy. It looks like he has articulation in the arms. I mean, they're really stiff though, so I would say, being that they are such thin arms, be very careful if you have this figure to be moving arms like this. You don't want them popping off. Some pretty decent enough detail on Dupe. But again, like for me, the draw would be Deadpool, and this guy would just be not an afterthought, but not something that I'm jumping for joy that Dupe was included. I'm more or less on the same page as many other people. I'd be like, Dupe who? Moving him aside, I'm so sorry, Dupe. Putting him to the side though, let's have a look at Deadpool. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't get him to stand. You have to kind of adjust some of the legs, and he's surprisingly no complaints here. He's still a little stiff out of packaging, which is a good thing. Speaking of when you get him out of packaging, though, he does come with two Uzis, two machine guns in his hand. I kept one in via elastic, and I would say if you can, unless you plan on displaying him without the machine guns, probably keep those elastic bands on. The only reason why is that the machine guns get extremely warped with them being in packaging. I've just literally taken Deadpool out, and he's got these warped machine guns. You could still heat them up, the same simple fix, heat them in boiling water and, you know, just bend them back to where you want it and then just freeze it or, you know, get some cold water going on it and you should fix the issue. But you can take, you know what, for the sake of it, let's just take both elastics off. Over the course of time, these elastics have become pliable and almost to the degree of like licorice. They don't have any more elasticity to them, so taking them off is extremely easy. One thing that you'll get with this Deadpool, as you seem to get as a common sight with Deadpool figures, is you get a lot of weapons. Now, the two weapons we looked at, the two, again, machine guns or what have you, you can really, if you want to, peg them on the back. He has his sheath for his two katana blades, but you can take his machine guns, and there's a little peg hole, I don't know if you can see a peg hole right there, that you can mount them to this sheath. And lining them up, as simple as it should seem to be, not the easiest task, let me tell you, but they should peg right into those peg holes. Let me just, you know what, maybe I might actually have it the wrong way. Let's peg it onto over here. Just peg it into place. There we go. And you get something that looks like that. In a real world practical application, I don't know how those machine guns are actually on this, but for the sake of a Marvel legend, let's just pretend that that makes sense. Maybe they're magnetized. Magnetized weapons. You just kind of peg them on and he's good to go, but you have something that looks like that. As I also mentioned, Deadpool also comes with two katana blades. They just pull out of his sheath. I assume they're katana blades or just some sort of samurai blades. And some really nice detailing if I don't actually drop them. There's the handle right there. Again, slightly warped because they have been sitting in there since, well, this figure actually was released. And we'll just slide those back. I mean, you can, with all the weapons, you can have Deadpool holding them, but the downside, though, is because his hands aren't pre-sculpted closed like that, his hands are always kind of flopping open. The biggest problem was with the machine guns. You know, he can hold the weapons, but because this is just a hinged articulation, those swords could come out. That, you know, as you can see, you start really moving it, it flops around in there. The other things that Deadpool comes with are a pair of sais. A pair of them, you get two of them. And I don't know if there's actually a section on Deadpool. I might be wrong, but I don't know if there's a section on Deadpool where you can actually have him housing those sais. There's no, you know, section in the front. I guess if you wanted to, you can kind of just slide them in there. Does that really make sense? It may not, but you can do that too. And lastly, I guess the one other thing is there is a holster right there on Deadpool. There is no other accessories. There's none in the packaging that would make sense as to why that is there, unless you just put the two sais in there, and he just has, you know, he just has the two sais in his holster for when he needs them. But it doesn't seem like he comes with any other weapons. He does also come with, and finally, I guess for good measure, he also comes with a pistol. A little hand pistol. And that sits right in the side holster. So really, if you factor that in, whether that is the use for this holder, he can hold all his weapons, which is good. If you're holding and displaying Deadpool, you're probably going to be displaying him with weapons in his hand. You're not going to, you know, it's Deadpool, right? You're going to have some sort of weapons in his hand. But I like that at least you can house everything on him when you aren't displaying certain aspects. Like, I would want to display, even though he doesn't hold them well, I probably would display these on Deadpool the most. But you can see everything fits on Deadpool. The other accessory that comes with him is the alternate head. Right there. And really nice detailing on the head itself. You can pop off his head. It's just on a hinge ball joint. Now, I've mentioned this before. Let's bring the camera in a little bit closer so you guys can see. See, there is a ball joint, and then on that ball joint, it's on a hinge. It's kind of like a little light switch. So it allows the head to move up and down, but then the ball joint gives you all the flexibility and movement of the ball joint. So the ball joint still moves independently, but then you can hinge the head up and down as well. Does the head look good on Deadpool? Sure, of course it does. But I'd still probably fall back to good old default and have him displayed with his original mask. That's just me. Take this head off, peg this back on. Also, with it being on a ball hinge joint, it's not always the easiest to get the head pegged on there. You have to put a little bit of pressure. Kind of just hold the neck as you're popping the head on there too, to ensure that it gets properly on there. Spot keeps probably picking away at the hands here, just because the elastics are still wedged in that wedged in the finger area there. The body and the figure as a whole works. I think the only problem I have with this Deadpool figure is this section right here. He's got straight shoulder articulation that you would come to expect with Marvel Legends, but because he's got this extra hinge here, it sits awkwardly that it makes him look a little more shouldery than he really should be. I think if this was taken out and these were just popped right in, it would be a really good figure. I mean, it's a good figure now, but it bothers me a little bit that sticks out as much as it does. It looks so sectional. It kind of actually reminds me of the Play Arts Kai Dark Knight Legacy Bane, who had the same problem. He had really good arm articulation, but because the socket sat so far away from his torso, it made the figure look awkward. But really, like, the rest of the figure is just gorgeous. They have released several Deadpools since this figure. We've looked at a couple of them on this channel, but I still think like the original is one of the better ones. The red repaint of the X-Force Deadpool was a phenomenal figure, but I think I still like this figure. It's just a well-rounded, solid piece. His articulation, by the way, as we've already kind of discussed, his head rotates on that ball joint. There is that hinge socket, as we've already discussed. When it comes to the shoulders, yeah, again, I'm not happy with the way that this socket sits in. This particular socket, more so, doesn't want to actually go in. This socket moves in and out, which makes it look a little better on this side, but this one socket, I can't seem to get it in there, and I don't want to start forcing, especially a Deadpool figure, don't want to start forcing that socket in. But you can see how it hinges out that area there. The shoulders, on again, a pin and socket shoulder. He has a rotation in the bicep, double bend in the elbow, ideal for if you want to have him looking as if he wants to retract his blades, ready for battle. Swivel in the forearm, hinge in the hand. As I mentioned, he's also got the hinged forefingers. That pesky elastic band. Get out of there, elastic. He's got the upper torso crunch, swivel in the waist, and then the legs go forward, back, out, swivel at the thigh, a nice double bend at the knee, in the calf area, a hinge in the foot, and hinged toe. You can really get Deadpool in some phenomenal poses, and one pose that also you can get with Deadpool is there's a peg hole right there. You may not even see it, but it's right in there. It comes also with a supplied clear stand, which has been used for other Marvel Legends figures before, like Angel. I think Storm also comes with one, and that can get pegged right on his back. I'm not really sure why you would want to have him displayed where he's kind of leaping in air, but I guess if you wanted to, you can kind of have him look as if he's pulling the weapon out. Maybe he's got, you know, an Uzi or machine gun in his hand, and he's ready to lunge towards a Hulk or some character that's, you know, standing on the shelf. So a nice touch. I would not probably use this with Deadpool, but I like that they included it. You know, one thing that's a consistent with when I review these things is just because I don't use it for the display purposes, I'm always thankful that they included it. It gives you that option. Some people like to have Deadpool maybe leaping in air. Some of them probably just to have him displayed on the shelf is enough for them. Deadpool, sadly, this particular Deadpool is a little more expensive than some of the other pieces from the Marvel Legends line. Whatever happened along the way, Deadpool went from, I jokingly have said in the past reviews, and I've kind of got some flack for it, but I have jokingly said the obscure character Deadpool went from New Mutants fame and X-Force fame to the phenom that he is now. Had you got this figure a while ago, you probably would have paid, you know, under $20 for him. But now on eBay, sealed versions of this figures can get a little expensive, unfortunately. Is he worth it? As a Deadpool fan, I would say yes. He is definitely worth picking up. Not still crazy about the shoulder articulation, and again, I don't know why it's so stiff on this one arm. This one arm's not so much of a problem, but he is still a really solid Deadpool, and one of the best, I would think, along the lines still with the red recolor of the X-Force Deadpool. Those two Deadpools are the best, if you ask me. If you can get this guy for a good price, I would say he's well worth picking up. You won't be disappointed. Deadpool, I'm going to give him a very solid 8.5. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Marvel Legends from Toybiz. We're having a look at the very sought-after Deadpool. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. Spot's going to have more Toybiz Marvel Legends videos heading away. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.